Athens, 416 BCE. There is a room full of men who have been drinking wine and talking about desire. This is a symposium, which means drinking party, which means the kind of gathering where inhibitions loosen and truth starts to emerge. The host is Agathon, a young tragedian who has just won first prize at the theater festival. His house is filled with the intellectual elite of Athens, poets, philosophers, a doctor, a comic playwright, and Socrates, who is the ugliest man in the room and also the wisest. They have decided to spend the evening giving speeches, not just any speeches, speeches in praise of Eros, love, desire, the force that moves through human beings like fire, like hunger, like a god you cannot control. Each man will stand and speak about what love is, what it does, why it matters. And what emerges over the course of the night is not just philosophy. What emerges is confession, each speech revealing not just ideas about desire, but the shape of the speaker's own longing, what he wants, what he seeks, what he cannot name. And by the end of the night, when the door crashes open and a drunk, beautiful man stumbles in and tells a story that destroys everything that has been said, the distance between philosophy and desire will collapse completely. Because this is not an abstract inquiry. This is not theoretical. This is philosophy born from the body, from the ache of wanting, from the recognition that human beings are driven by something deeper than reason. And that something is Eros. Not just romantic attraction, not just physical craving, but the force that pulls you toward what you do not have, toward what you lack, toward what you believe will complete you. And the question that structures the entire evening is this: what are you actually seeking when you desire? When you want someone so intensely that you cannot think straight, what is it that you want? Is it their body? Is it their soul? Is it beauty itself? Is it the divine? And can you even tell the difference? Plato wrote the Symposium not to give you answers, but to show you the layers, to peel back what you think you want and reveal what you are actually seeking. And what you discover, if you follow the speeches all the way to their conclusion, is that desire is never just about the object. Desire is always about something beyond the object, something that the person you want is pointing toward but cannot give you. And the work of philosophy, the work of understanding yourself, is learning to see what that something is. So, the room is warm, the wine is flowing, and the first man stands to speak. The first speaker is Phaedrus. He is young, earnest, a lover of speeches and ideas, and he begins by saying that Eros is the oldest of the gods, not a metaphor, not a symbol, a god, an actual divine force that existed before the heavens, before the earth, before anything you can point to and name. In the beginning, there was chaos, and then there was Eros, and Eros brought order. Eros made the cosmos possible. Because desire is what pulls things together, what creates connection, what transforms scattered fragments into something whole. And Phaedrus says that love makes you brave, that the presence of the beloved changes you. You do not want to be seen as weak, as cowardly, as less than you could be. And so you rise. You become more than you are. He tells the story of Achilles, who could have lived a long, peaceful life, but chose to die young for the sake of Patroclus, the man he loved. He tells the story of Alcestis, who died in place of her husband because love made her willing to give everything. And Phaedrus argues that there is no greater force than this, that desire is not weakness. Desire is the thing that makes you capable of heroism, of sacrifice, of becoming the person you were always meant to be. But listen to what he is not saying. He is praising the effects of love without asking what love is. He is saying that love makes you brave, love makes you better, love makes you willing to die. But he does not ask, what are you loving? What is the object of this desire that has such transformative power? He sees the results, but not the cause. He feels the force, but does not interrogate its nature. And this is where the inquiry will have to go, because it is not enough to say that love is powerful. The question is, what is love? And that question, once asked, will unravel everything. The second speaker is Pausanias, and he immediately complicates what Phaedrus has said. He argues that there is not one Eros, but two. There is common love, and there is heavenly love. Common love is base, physical, driven by the body. It seeks pleasure without discrimination. It wants what it wants without caring about the soul of the beloved. But heavenly love is different. Heavenly love is attracted not to bodies, but to minds. It seeks not momentary satisfaction, but lasting connection. It wants to educate the beloved, to improve them, to elevate them. And Pausanias argues that only heavenly love is truly noble. Only heavenly love is worth pursuing. And you can hear what he is doing. He is drawing a line. He is saying that some desires are worthy and some are not. That the desire for a body is lesser than the desire for a soul. That physical attraction is something to be transcended, moved beyond, left behind. And this will become a theme. This split between body and soul, between physical and spiritual, between the lower and the higher. Pausanias wants to purify desire. He wants to say that true love is not about bodies at all. True love is about souls recognizing each other, about minds connecting, about something that transcends the flesh. But the problem is this: in real desire, body and soul are not separate. When you want someone, you do not want just their mind or just their body. You want the whole person. You want the way they move, the way they speak, the way they look at you, the way their presence changes the air in the room. And Pausanias cannot account for that. His distinction is too clean, too neat. It suggests that to love properly, you must purify your desire, elevate it, make it spiritual. But what if the body is not the problem? What if the body is part of the point? The third speaker is Eryximachus, a doctor, and he takes Pausanias' two loves and expands them into a cosmic principle. He argues that love is not just a human emotion. Love is the force that governs the entire universe. In the body, health is the harmony of opposites, hot and cold, wet and dry. In music, beauty is the harmony of high and low notes. In the seasons, order is the harmony of summer and winter, and love, Eryximachus says, is the principle of harmony itself. Love is what brings opposites into balance. Love is what creates order out of discord. And this is brilliant in its way. He is intellectualizing desire, turning it into a structural principle that applies to everything from medicine to astronomy. But in the process, he loses something. He loses the heat, the fire, the specificity. Because when you are in the grip of desire, you are not experiencing cosmic harmony. You are experiencing disruption. You are experiencing the collapse of order. You are experiencing the way one person can walk into your life and undo everything you thought you knew about yourself. Eryximachus talks about love the way a scientist talks about gravity, as if it is a force that operates according to predictable laws. But desire is not predictable. Desire is not orderly. Desire is the thing that makes you stay up all night thinking about someone you barely know. Desire is the thing that makes you rearrange your entire life for a chance to be near them. Desire is the thing that makes you irrational, obsessive, willing to risk everything. And Eryximachus, with his medical rationalism, cannot touch that. He has removed the person. He has made love impersonal. But love is never impersonal. Love is always about this person, this face, this voice, this irreplaceable particularity. And that is what his speech cannot hold. The fourth speaker is Aristophanes, the comic playwright. And he tells a story that is stranger and more haunting than anything that has been said so far. He says that once, long ago, human beings were different. We were not as we are now. We were whole. We had 4 arms, 4 legs, 2 faces. We were spherical, complete, powerful. And there were three kinds of us: male, male, female, female, and male, female. And we were so strong, so proud, that we tried to storm heaven. We tried to overthrow the gods. And Zeus, threatened by our power, split us in half. He cut each person down the middle. And now we wander the earth, each of us searching for our other half, the one we were torn from, the one who will make us whole again. And when you find them, Aristophanes says, you recognize them instantly. Not because they look a certain way, not because they fit some ideal, but because they fit you. Because being with them feels like coming home. And lovers cling to each other, desperate for closeness, never satisfied with mere proximity. They want to merge. They want to become one again. And if Hephaestus, the god of fire, appeared and offered to melt them together permanently, they would say yes. Because what they want is not just intimacy. What they want is union. What they want is the restoration of the original wholeness that was lost. This is the most psychologically accurate speech so far, because it names the hunger, the sense that something is missing, that you are incomplete, that there is someone out there who will complete you. And this is how desire feels. You meet someone, and it is as if a door opens, as if you have been searching your entire life without knowing what you were searching for. And suddenly, here they are, the missing piece, the answer, the one who makes sense of everything. But here is the question: is this true, or is this a beautiful lie? Because what Aristophanes is describing is the fantasy of completion, the belief that another person can make you whole, and that belief is everywhere. It structures romantic comedies, love songs, wedding vows. The idea that you are incomplete until you find your other half. But what if you are not incomplete? What if the hunger you feel is not for another person, but for something else? What if the beloved is not the missing piece, but the mirror that shows you what you have been refusing to see? Because the problem with Aristophanes' myth is that it makes the beloved responsible for your wholeness. It says that you need them, that without them you are half a person. And this creates a relationship based not on freedom, but on need, not on choice, but on desperation. You are not loving them, you are using them to fill a void. And that is not love. That is dependency. That is the projection of your own incompleteness onto another person, and it will destroy both of you. The fifth speaker is Agathon, the host, and his speech is everything you would expect from a tragedian. It is beautiful, it is poetic, it is full of elegant phrases and rhetorical flourishes. He argues that Eros is not the oldest god, but the youngest, that Eros lives in soft places, in flowers, in beautiful souls, that Eros is delicate, graceful, the source of all virtue, that love brings courage, temperance, justice, wisdom, that love is the most beautiful of all the gods and the cause of beauty in everything else. And it sounds lovely, but it is also empty. Because Agathon has aestheticized desire. He has made love pretty. He has removed the danger, the hunger, the violence of wanting. He has turned Eros into a decorative god who lives in gardens and makes people virtuous. But desire is not gentle. Desire does not live in soft places. Desire is the thing that keeps you awake at night. Desire is the thing that makes you reckless. Desire is the thing that makes you willing to burn your life down for a chance at what you want. And Agathon, with his beautiful words, has missed this completely. And Socrates, who has been sitting silently through all of these speeches, is about to destroy everything Agathon has said. Because Socrates does not deal in pretty lies. Socrates deals in truth. And the truth about desire is harder, stranger, more devastating than anything Agathon can imagine. Socrates stands, and he says that he will not give his own speech. Instead, he will report a conversation he once had with a wise woman named Diotima. Whether she was real or whether she is Plato's invention does not matter. What matters is that she taught Socrates something about love that no one else in the room understands, and he is about to share it. Diotima begins by questioning Socrates. She asks, "Is love beautiful?" And Socrates, repeating what Agathon said, says yes. And Diotima says, does love possess what it loves? And Socrates says, no. You desire what you do not have. You seek what you lack. And Diotima says, so if love desires beauty, then love does not possess beauty. And if love does not possess beauty, then love is not beautiful. And Socrates, who thought he understood, realizes he understands nothing. And this is the turn. This is where everything shifts. Because Diotima is saying that love is not a god. Love is not beautiful. Love is not good. Love is a daimon, an intermediary, a force that exists between the mortal and the divine. Love is lack. Love is poverty. Love is the ache of not having what you desire. And this changes everything. Diotima tells the story of Eros' birth. At the feast celebrating Aphrodite's birth, Poros, the god of resource and cleverness, got drunk on nectar. And Peneia, the goddess of poverty, seduced him in the garden. And from that union, Eros was conceived. So Eros is the child of resource and poverty. He is clever, always scheming, always pursuing what he wants. But he is also empty, always lacking, never satisfied. He is neither mortal nor immortal. He dies and is reborn constantly. He never possesses what he seeks. He's the philosopher, always seeking wisdom, never possessing it, always desiring beauty, never holding it. And this is devastating, because Diotima is saying that love is not having. Love is wanting. Love is the space between you and what you desire. And that space cannot be closed, because the moment you possess what you love, something shifts. The desire transforms. You no longer want it in the same way. Desire lives in the gap, and the gap is unbridgeable. This is why the lover suffers, not because they do not have the beloved, but because having the beloved changes the nature of the love. The hunger that drove you toward them dissipates, and you are left with something else, something quieter, something that might be deeper, but is no longer desire in the same burning way. And Diotima asks Socrates, what does the lover want? And Socrates says, to possess the beautiful. And Diotima says, and what will possessing the beautiful give you? And Socrates struggles. He does not know. And Diotima rephrases. She says, what does the lover of the good want? And Socrates says, to possess the good. And Diotima says, and what will that give you? And Socrates says, happiness. And Diotima says, so all lovers want happiness. And happiness is what? And Socrates says, possessing the good forever. And here is the problem, forever. You want to possess beauty forever. You want to hold on to the good permanently. But everything beautiful is temporary. Bodies age, faces change. The person you love will die. So how can you possess beauty forever? You cannot. Not in any particular beautiful thing. But you can create beauty. You can give birth in beauty. And this, Diotima says, is what love actually wants. Not to possess the beautiful person, but to create, to bring forth, to generate something that partakes of the eternal. And this is where Diotima begins to describe the ladder, the stages of erotic education, the path from desiring a single body to encountering the divine. And this is the heart of the entire dialogue. This is what everything has been building toward. Diotima says that the lover begins with a single beautiful body. You see someone and you are drawn to them. You desire them physically. You want to be near them, to touch them, to possess them. And this is where most people stop. They think this person, this body, is what they want. They think that having this person will satisfy the hunger, but it will not. Because the hunger is not for this person. The hunger is for something the person represents. And if you are paying attention, you will notice something. You will notice that it is not this body specifically that you desire. It is beauty. This person is beautiful, yes, but so are other people. And you begin to realize that what you desire is not this particular body, but the quality of beauty that this body possesses. And so you move to the second rung. You love all beautiful bodies. Not because you are promiscuous, but because you have recognized that beauty is not tied to one person. Beauty is something that appears in many forms, and what you desire is beauty itself, not any single instance of it. And then you notice something else. Physical beauty fades. Bodies age. The person who is beautiful at 20 will not be beautiful in the same way at 50. But there is another kind of beauty. Beauty of soul, virtue, wisdom, character. And this beauty lasts longer. This beauty does not fade in the same way. And so you move to the third rung. You begin to desire people not for their bodies, but for their souls. You want to be near people who are good, who are wise, who are virtuous, because their presence elevates you. Their beauty is not in how they look, but in who they are. And then you realize that even individual souls are limited. Even the wisest person is finite. But there are structures that create conditions for many souls to flourish. Beautiful laws, just institutions, noble practices. And so you move to the fourth rung. Your desire expands beyond individuals to systems. You want to create social conditions that allow beauty to flourish. You want to build structures that elevate everyone, not just the person you love. And then you move to the fifth rung. You begin to love knowledge itself, not just beautiful people or beautiful systems, but beautiful truths. Mathematics, philosophy, science, the structures of reality that are eternal, unchanging, independent of any particular person or culture. And your desire is no longer for a person at all. Your desire is for truth, for understanding, for knowing what is real. And then, Diotima says, if you have followed the path correctly, if you have ascended each rung without clinging, something happens. Suddenly, without warning, you have a vision, not of a beautiful thing, but of beauty itself. Not beauty in a body, not beauty in a soul, not beauty in knowledge, but beauty as such, the form of beauty, eternal, unchanging, perfect, the source of all beautiful things, the thing that every beautiful thing participates in but never fully embodies. And this vision, Diotima says, is what the soul has been seeking all along. This is what you wanted when you wanted that person. Not them, but this, the eternal, the unchanging, the divine. And once you have seen it, everything changes. You no longer cling to particular beautiful things. You no longer need any single person to complete you, because you have tasted what does not fade. You have touched what is always true. And this, Diotima says, is the goal of Eros, not to possess the beloved, but to ascend through the beloved to the divine. And then the door crashes open. Enter Alcibiades. He is drunk, he is wearing wreaths of ivy and violets in his hair. He is the most beautiful man in Athens, the most politically powerful, the most charismatic. Everyone wants him. And he stumbles into the room and announces that he has come to crown Agathon, the host, as the most beautiful man at the party. But then he sees Socrates, and everything changes. Alcibiades does not give a speech about Eros. He gives a speech about Socrates. Or rather, he confesses. He confesses his desire for Socrates. He confesses that he has tried everything to seduce him. He confesses that he has failed, and he confesses that this failure has destroyed him. He says, Socrates is like those statues of Silenus that you find in the marketplace. On the outside, they are ugly, grotesque, but when you open them, they are full of golden figures of the gods. Socrates is ugly. Everyone knows this, but when you hear him speak, when you are near him, you realize that inside him is something divine. His words enchant you. They make you feel like you are nothing and everything at once. They make you want to be better. They make you unable to go back to who you were before. And Alcibiades tells the story of how he tried to seduce Socrates. He invited him to dinner, just the two of them, and Socrates came, and they talked, and Alcibiades waited for Socrates to make a move, and Socrates did not. So Alcibiades invited him to exercise at the gymnasium. They wrestled, they were naked together, and still Socrates treated him like a friend, like a student, like someone to be educated, not desired. And so finally Alcibiades invited Socrates to spend the night, and he made it clear what he was offering, and Socrates said yes, and they got into bed together, and Socrates did nothing. He talked to Alcibiades about philosophy, about virtue, about the soul, and then he went to sleep, and in the morning he got up and left, as if nothing had happened. And Alcibiades is devastated. He is humiliated. He is the most desirable man in Athens, and Socrates does not desire him. Or rather, Socrates desires something else. Socrates is already on the ladder. He sees beauty in Alcibiades, but he does not stop there. He does not cling to the beautiful body. He is using Alcibiades as a rung, as a stepping stone, as something to move through on the way to beauty itself. And Alcibiades feels this, and it destroys him, because he does not want to be a rung. He wants to be desired. He wants to be wanted for himself, not as an instance of something else. And this is the return of the body. This is desire that has not ascended. This is Eros that wants this person, not the abstraction. This is the cry of the particular against the universal. And Plato, by placing this speech at the end, is doing something profound. He has given you Diotima's ladder, the ascent, the mystical vision, the idea that desire is meant to move beyond the person toward the divine. And then he gives you Alcibiades, the body, the person, the one who says, I do not want to be transcended, I want to be loved. And the question becomes, who is right? Is Socrates right to refuse Alcibiades? Is he transcending desire, or is he repressing it? Is the latter liberation, or is it escape? Is the goal to move beyond the person toward beauty itself, or is the goal to love the person completely in their irreducible particularity, without needing them to point towards something else?
The symposium ends without resolution. The party breaks up. Everyone is drunk or asleep. Socrates, alone, is still awake, still talking, still philosophizing. And then he gets up, washes his face, and goes about his day, as if nothing has happened, as if the night of speeches on desire was just another conversation. And this is what Plato leaves you with: two paths, two philosophies of love. And he does not tell you which one is true. The first path is Diotima's ladder, the path of ascent, the idea that desire is meant to move you beyond the particular toward the universal, that the person you love is a rung, a stepping stone, something to use on the way to the divine. And the goal is to reach the top of the ladder, to have the vision of beauty itself, to touch the eternal. And at that point, you no longer need any particular person. You have transcended particular attachments. You love beauty, not this beautiful person. The second path is Alcibiades' refusal, the insistence that the body matters, that this person matters, that the particularity of the beloved cannot be reduced to an instance of something else, that love is not about ascending beyond the person. Love is about being fully present to the person, about desiring them not as a rung, but as an end, about refusing to use them as a means to something higher, about saying, I love you, not because you point toward beauty itself, but because you are you, and that is enough. And both paths are true. Both are necessary. Both speak to something real in human experience. Because you do feel the pull toward the eternal. You do sense that the person you love is pointing towards something beyond themselves, That they are beautiful, yes, but that their beauty is not the final thing. That there is something they are participating in, something they are reflecting, something that you are seeking through them. And Diotima is naming that. She is saying, follow the desire, see where it leads. And it leads beyond the person, toward the source of all beauty. But you also feel the pull toward the particular. You do not want to love beauty in general. You want to love this person, this face, this voice, this laugh, this way of being in the world. And the idea that you should use them as a rung, that you should move beyond them, that you should let go of them once you have ascended, feels like betrayal, feels like reduction, feels like you are being asked to sacrifice the very thing that made desire possible in the first place, the irreplaceable particularity of the beloved. And Plato does not resolve this tension. He holds both. He gives you Diotima's vision of ascent, and he gives you Alcibiades' refusal to ascend, and he lets them stand in opposition. Because maybe both are true. Maybe you need the latter. Maybe desire does point beyond itself. Maybe you are seeking the eternal.
But maybe you also need to honor the person. Maybe the body is not something to be transcended. Maybe the particular is not something to be moved beyond. Maybe love is holding both, the universal and the particular, the eternal and the temporal, the vision of beauty itself and the beauty of this person standing in front of you. And the work is not to choose one or the other. The work is to hold the tension, to see that the beloved is both a rung and an end, both a means and a person, both something that points beyond itself and something that is complete in itself. And to love them is to hold both truths without collapsing them into one. This is what the Symposium offers, not an answer, but a map of the territory, a description of the layers of desire, a recognition that when you want someone, you are not just wanting them, you are wanting something through them, something beyond them, something eternal. But you are also wanting them, particularly, irreplaceably, and both are true. And the wisdom is learning to see both, to climb the ladder without forgetting the person, to love the person without refusing the ladder, to hold desire in all its complexity without reducing it to a single story.
And this is why the Symposium has survived for 2,000 years, not because it gives you answers, but because it names the hunger. It describes the layers. It shows you what you are seeking when you desire, and it leaves you to figure out what to do with that knowledge. What you desire is never just the person. What you desire is what the person reveals, and what the person reveals is the eternal longing for beauty that cannot be possessed, only witnessed. And the question is, can you love the person and the eternal? Can you hold both, or must you choose?